We got it. Hello and welcome to a rather different episode of Cheppy today. In this episode we'll be addressing our part in the ongoing Craig Wright situation. Not sure what else to call it really. Shitstorm might suffice. So in case you somehow missed it, here's a little background on the latest crypto drama. So ever since the day that Craig Wright decided to stake a claim to the crypto throne and declare himself Bitcoin's creator Satoshi Nakamoto, there have been a few, maybe slightly more than a few, a fuck ton of people who didn't believe him. For many months, even years, this endured, mainly because of two fundamentally beautiful human rights, the freedom of thought and the freedom of speech. Along with his own freedom of thought and speech, Wright continued to propagate his narrative, and in turn, the majority of the crypto community continued to rebut it. That was until Wright decided to take it a step further into litigation proceedings, first fixating on one particular member of the crypto community, known by the Twitter handle Hodlonaut, the individual responsible for initiating the lightning torch. Wright's legal team accused Hodlonaut of libel, citing highly defamatory and abusive tweets, including calling Wright mentally ill and a very sad and pathetic scammer. Now, this being the crypto community, people didn't stand idly by whilst one of their own got picked on. Instead, the J Sui Hodlonaut movement sprang to life, rallying behind the underdog. Some showed solidarity by changing their Twitter handles to his moniker, and in the true spirit of camaraderie, Elizabeth Stark, the founder of Lightning Labs, started a crowdfunding campaign to provide legal counsel. But Hodlonaut wasn't the only one in the crosshairs, and alongside him, also receiving a love letter from Wright's legal eagles, was the creator of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, Bitcoin podcaster Peter McCormack, and of course, the nobodies at Chepicap. While Buterin is yet to respond to the letter, McCormack wasted no time in replying, essentially rejecting Wright's requirements which included providing a formal apology and promising not to do it again. Like a good boy. McCormack's reply also requested that the burden of proof be put on Wright, and for Wright to provide empirical evidence that he is in fact Satoshi Nakamoto. A fair ask, perhaps, considering the situation. The initial claims of libel against McCormack included him tweeting such classics as, and I quote, "Craig Wright is not Satoshi, when do I get sued?" As well as, and I quote again, "I would like to formally state that 1. Craig Wright is not Satoshi, 2. Craig Wright is a fraud, 3. I hope as many people retweet this as possible." Talk about kicking the hornet's nest. Eventually things boiled over to the point where CZ, the CEO of Binance, stepped in, explicitly stating that Craig Wright is not Satoshi and threatening to delist bitcoinsv, Craig Wright's Bitcoin Cash spin-off, if this shit continued. It continued. CZ eventually delisted BSV, causing a fair amount of celebration throughout crypto Twitter, and seemingly causing a domino effect, which led Shapeshift to follow suit, delisting BSV, and Kraken to consider delisting, and that pretty much sums everything up. As mentioned, Chepicap were also lucky enough to be named alongside Buterin, McCormack, and Hodlonaut, and for our penance we must pay the ultimate price. Chepicap was accused of libel and defamation, more specifically accused of referring to Craig Wright as Fake Toshi, a nickname for Wright used widely by the crypto community. And now Wright demands that Chepicap submits a public apology and admit that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. After extensive research, painstaking review of the evidence, and even dabbling in a bit of stylometry, we have to admit that Craig Wright is... We have to admit that Craig Wright is... We have to admit that Craig Wright is... Oh, sorry, I think I got cut off a little bit. As I was trying to say, Craig Wright is... Oh, I'm glad that's out of the way. This whole situation is almost ridiculously petty. In fact, this situation will only end up degrading certain individuals' reputations even further. Can you honestly imagine the creator of Bitcoin, a character historically known for their furtive nature, threatening to sue the community that they created? Over what? Not believing their true identity? An identity kept secret for many years to protect the interests of Bitcoin. These numerous threats of legal action have now backfired, with several major exchanges either delisting bitcoinsv or thinking about it, not only harming the project itself, but also its investors. And the likes of Calvin Ayre and his BSV puppets blaming the exchanges themselves is ridiculous. Exchanges delisting BSV is akin to an advertiser distancing itself from a potentially volatile and disruptive client. It's just business. The only people to blame is those within the BSV camp, who are more interested in silencing their detractors than they are in building something useful. And while Calvin Ayre calls the delistings childish and corrupt, perhaps he can reflect for a minute to taste the irony of those words. As for Wright's claim, Peter McCormack looks set to take this straight to court. And if Craig Wright is indeed Satoshi, then he'll have no problem providing irrevocable evidence under oath, without fear of committing perjury. Realistically, we're all in this space because of the work of Satoshi Nakamoto. Whoever they, he, or she may be. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, we're all Satoshi Nakamoto. We're the engineers, the developers, the programmers, the miners, and the investors, all working together, for the most part, to create and foster a better world, and to see Satoshi's original vision through to completion. This space has never and will never be about fighting each other. Bitcoin is open source for a reason, created to be built by anyone despite their beliefs or allegiances. This space has always encouraged collaboration and unity, certainly not fighting and bullying, and anyone that goes against that can fork off. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. What do you think about the unfolding Craig Wright situation? Do you support him or are you against him? So leave us a comment, leave us a like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.